Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me. I'm excited today because, of course, we have Dinger Tuesday, but more importantly, golly, I'm seeing the sun for once. The rain is over. We had like 6 inches of rain here. Not really, but it was crazy. Dinger Tuesday. That's what we're here for. There are two versions, as we talk about every week. There's the unlimited version, which means you can play every single game and get $5 back per home run, up to $25. Or there's the limited version, which means you can only get back $25 on the day. I hate Fanduel for doing this. Here's my advice. If you have the unlimited version, play as many as you're comfortable playing. If you have the limited version, I would say play 2 to 3 to maximize your value. My sheet that I chart all my data on looks like this every week. I have the team, I have the pitcher, I have their innings pitched and their home runs allowed, and then I have it divided out into home runs per inning and home runs per 5 inning, assuming that most pitchers will go about 5 innings. Ballpark Pal is a tool that used to be free and is now behind a paywall, and I'm happy for him for finally earning money from this because it is a crazy repository of information, and he projects the home runs that each game will have and the percentage increase or decrease based on all of the factors: the weather, the park, the pitching, the batters, okay, everything, how many home runs we can expect compared to the average. And then I give it a grade based on all of this information, A through F. A is I expect 4 to 5 home runs, B is 3 to 4 home runs, all the way down to 0 to 1 home runs. Then I pick an A team and a B team. Really just gives you guys two options to play from. I jokingly say use code GMG, but I did message him on Twitter, and he said he is trying to get an affiliate link, so it would be awesome if he can get that up and working, and eventually you guys can maybe get a discount by using my code. Stay tuned for that. So we shall see. My general notes that I talk about every week as well. Lineups do change. I sometimes pick guys that are not end up in the lineup. And if that is the case, I will report that on Twitter and change it for you so you guys know. I do not devig or line shop. EV guys hate me. Just kidding. But I did get into a conversation with somebody last week saying that he highly disagrees with the way that I approach this. Here's the deal. I get expected value. I get the long term. But in this promotion, I would rather pick the right spots and pick parks and situations where home runs are going to be hit, because you get to play this once a week. If you could play this every single night, maybe I would be more likely to just trust the math long term and play the EV guys. But I don't think that there is a ton of value in just playing value for this promotion, since it's not really going to be over the long term. That's my rant. So I do try to find value for you guys, but I also do try to handicap these games and pick the best spots and the best batters. And I have made money every year this promotion has been around, so I like to think I know what I'm doing. My objectives for these videos are always to find the right spots, because it matters more in the long run if you can get the free bets back than if you necessarily hit the right guys. The home runs are going to come. But if you can always play the games where you're going to have a larger amount of home runs, you will get more free bets back. So that is my goal, to maximize your free bets and to help you see the vision long term. Right now, it's going to be the worst for this promo because parks are still cold and still windy. As we get into June, July, it will pick up and more home runs will be hit. It happens every year. This is not just about picking the right guys, but guiding you guys to pick the right parks and spots. So, I always advise people to convert their free bets at 75% or higher. If you want a little video on that, I actually made one. I'll link it right up here, talking about how I convert my free bets and why I think it is the best idea. I walk you through some math and some principles behind that. Last week we had a good week, given that it was a pretty poor week overall for home runs. We hit Naylor, Outman, Carroll, and Paredes, and I'm very thankful for that. So unfortunately, though, they were all on A team. So if you tail B team exclusively, I am so sorry. A team at 75% free bet conversion would be up $250 through 2 weeks, which is pretty good. B team would be down $306 through 2 weeks. So we are down $58 through 2 weeks. But again, it's cold, it's windy. This will pick up. We just got to keep grinding. Today's outlook: take advantage of domes. Pause. A lot of dome games, and they are games that I would recommend targeting because, again, weather. It's still chilly and it's still windy. We got an early start today, 1:11 p.m., the game in Detroit. I've gone ahead for every pitcher for this video for this week, just doing their pitching stats for this year. I understand that is a very small sample size, but I would rather have a small sample size of recent data than a large sample size of last year's data, which I don't think necessarily compares because we're pulling in warmer months, different months, I would just rather see how their form is right now. So Gray and Miz here, fine, but the park is awful. I mean, the wind is crazy. It's blowing in. Ballpark Pal is only projecting a 1.5, less than 1.5 home runs. So not a game I would play. I've actually given it an F. But if I had to play it, Kerry Carpenter and Corey Seager would be my picks. I think those are fine prices. But again, I'd stay away. This is not an early start. Ignore that at the top. I forgot to erase that from last week. My apologies. Paddock and Rodriguez. I would target Paddock here. I know that you see Grayson Rodriguez has given up 3 home runs, but typically I think he is the better pitcher. So we're gonna pick Baltimore bats. Colton Cowser. Now, granted, this is not a good spot tonight. The park is not playing well for home runs, but Colton Cowser has 4 home runs this year, and he's sitting at plus 800. He may lead the team right now in home runs. That's crazy. I was expecting 500 at the worst, so 800 would be fantastic. If I had the unlimited version, I would play this, but I don't, so I will stay away. And Cedric Mullins at 750. He hit one last night, has been good this year. I think he's had a couple this year. So I think these are 2 really good prices on 2 guys that are starting the year pretty solid. Game in Philadelphia, I think you have to go Phillies bats here. This is a game that I would not play if I was on the limited version, but if I had the unlimited version, I would play this. Trey Turner at 300 is getting pretty close to the line that I draw. I don't like to go under 300, but I'm okay with playing him at 300. And Alec Boehm at 560, I think, is a great price. I would take Phillies bats in this one over any Colorado bats, but I think you could squeeze out 3 home runs in this matchup. First dome game is Hicks and Weathers for the Giants and the Marlins, and this is probably the worst of the dome games. I've given it a C. Ballpark Pal is projecting 2 home runs, and the problem with this one is just the pitching so far. Really solid starts for both of these guys, 3 matchups each, and Weathers was in Colorado for one of his, so the most hitter-friendly park, he was able to skate by with, I don't think, any home runs given up in that game. He only has 1 in the season, so that is why I'm staying away from this one, even though it is a dome. Matt Chapman at 440, I think, is a fine price for him, and Jesus Sanchez at 8-1 is fine. But again, not a game I'm going to play with my limited version. If you have unlimited, I would play it. This is probably one of the games I might get to on my limited version. As you can see, the pitching is not fantastic, and Ballpark Pal is projecting 2.5 home runs. I've given it a B. Aaron Hicks for the Angels at 680, I think, is a very, very solid price. And Richie Palacios, everybody loves a good Palacio, right? 750 is, I think, fair. He's not typically a home run guy. I would take Brandon Lowe, but I believe he is injured for the Tampa Bay Rays. So can't take him tonight. This is just a good target on limited. I think we can get 3 to 4 home runs in this one. So if you just want to maximize value, this would be the first one on the slate that I would target. The next one on the slate that I would indeed target is the game right after. Carlos Rodon and Kikuchi here for Toronto. I've given it a B. Ballpark Pal has it at 2.5 home runs. A lot of bats for the Yankees, which we know about, but I typically like to target Rodon in spots like this. I think he gives up a lot of hard hit balls, and I don't think he is as good as he once was. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 450 is bizarre to me. I mean, that is crazy. And I'd slam that all the way down to probably 380. I would be fine with, but anything above 400, I think, is great value on Vlad in this spot. Oswaldo Cabrera at 9-1 is also crazy to me. This is a guy who I believe has 3 home runs already this year. And again, maybe at the top of the Yankees club in terms of home runs hit. And he's at 9-1 in a dome against a right-handed pitcher. So, against a left-handed pitcher. So either way, 9-1 I think is fantastic. If you believe in the revenge game, IKF used to play for the Yankees. He is now for the Toronto Blue Jays. He has a home run this year, and he's sitting at 13-1. So if you want to throw a free bet on him for fun, if you want to put $25 on him for fun, it's a spot, okay? It's a narrative. This is a good target for the limited version. It is one I've already locked in. I've already locked in Vlad at 450. So great game, great spot. I would play that. Quite the opposite is the game in Boston. Good pitching, horrible park, horrible weather, awful. I'm going to pick power just because you have to. There are guys who physically I don't think will be able to hit a ball out of this park tonight. But Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez, I know we went with them last week, but there's a reason, because in these cold weather games, power is going to trump. So those would be my picks, but I wouldn't touch this game. The game in New York, I think is okay, but the wind is blowing in. Pitching isn't fantastic. Connor Joe at 870 is a flyer, is a long shot, and Brett Batty at 680 is a flyer, is a long shot. Not a game I would probably get to unless I had unlimited and was feeling very hungry. Game in Chicago is interesting because this is the first start for Chicago's pitcher. Cannon will make his first major league game debut. These are his stats from the last 2 years in the minors: 59 innings pitched, 9 home runs. And I, of course, am going to target that. Obviously, I don't want to target Brady Singer anyway, but I'm not going to play this game because I have the limited version. If you have the unlimited version, I think it would be fine to play. Vinny Pasquantino and MJ Melendez would be my picks, although I figure that those lines are a bit low. I would like a little more value there, 5 and 400, but nonetheless, that is who I have gone with for that game. This game is also in a dome, but the pitching is overall pretty solid. Dylan Cease is one of the top pitchers in the league. Wade Miley has not had but one start this year, gave up 1 home run, 2 home runs. We can expect Hae-Sung Kim at 630, and Louis Campusano is a guy who almost hit one against the Dodgers in the last series, warning track after warning track. So at 680, I like him for a dome here. I like a lot of the Padres bats in this one. So this, I almost gave this a B, but I think we could see the Padres be the team that takes a bulk of the home runs, and they may get 2 to 3, and I can see Cease pitching into 6 and 7 innings and maybe not giving up a home run. So that's why I'm a little worried. Cease makes me worried, but overall I think this is a fine spot for the limited version. Good spot for the limited version. This game in Houston, 2 teams with big bats. It's going to be in a dome, and the pitching isn't fantastic. I know Lopez doesn't have a home run surrendered this year, but that is only across 12 innings, small sample size. Hunter Brown, 2 given up in 7 innings. Ballpark Pal projects it just over 2.5. I've given it a B. Michael Harris at 520 and Jared Kalenic at 630 would be my picks. If you want a safe pick, if you want a chalky pick, Matt Olson I think is safe, but he was pushing that plus 300 line, which I like to stay away from. So I don't think you can go wrong in this one, and I would play this if I had the limited version. This game is only good because Lance Lynn is pitching, and I think he gives up a lot of hard hit balls. Actually, I know he does. 3 this year in 13 innings pitched, but the park is one of the worst parks in the majors to hit home runs at. I would target A's bats because of Lance Lynn's susceptibility for home runs given up. Seth Brown and J.J. Bleday at 520 and 600 would be my picks, but again, not a game I'm getting to. Game in Arizona. Kyle Hendricks has not been sharp this year, and neither has Tommy Henry, evidently. Ballpark Pal, 2 home runs. I've given it a C. We got to go back to Corbin Carroll out of respect. He hit one for us last week. First at bat, maybe even the first pitch. 520. Dansby Swanson also at 520. I think this is a fine spot if you get desperate late in the night and you want to have some late evening action. You already played an early game, and you got 2 home runs. You want to get more free bets. Play this one. This would be fine. Fine spot. Seattle and Cincinnati. Good pitching, which scares me. Although Logan Gilbert has given up 4 homers, I want to say he's only given up 6 runs. He has only given up 6 runs this year. 4 were home runs, so take that as you will. His pitching has been pretty solid, just given up 4 home runs. Jake Fraley at 750 I think is a good price, and Nick Martini at 680 I think is a great price. These are good prices on 2 guys that have power and 2 guys who are facing Gilbert, which is why I think they are kind of getting a bump in their odds there. I think this is also a fine game, not one I'm going to play with limited. Last game of the night is tricky right now because the Dodgers have not officially named Knack as their starter, but it is more or less accepted that they called him up from the minors. He's on 5 days rest. He's likely to go. First MLB start if he does go. These are his minor league stats. Ballpark Pal does not project until pitchers are settled, so we do not know. But I've gone ahead and given this a C. The wind is blowing out. I think this is a good outdoor spot. But I am ultimately going to target Dodgers. I know I went with the opposite team in the White Sox game when a minor league guy was playing for the first time. But I'm going to trust that Patrick Corbin is still worse. So Hernandez, if he's around 400, I would take. Will Smith, if he's around 360, I would take. Those would be my picks for this game. Because I love you guys, here is the whole sheet. The first half of the whole sheet. If you want to take a look at that, screenshot it, do whatever you would like with it. I will go ahead and then show you the Next sheet, this is the later half of the slate. Couple B games, a lot of C games, still no A. I have not played an A game yet this year. I still don't feel comfortable endorsing a 4 to 5 home run game yet. We will get there, I promise. A couple of Fs even. So, kind of similar to last week. Here's my overall advice. If you have the unlimited version and you are a cautious bettor, I would play all the B and C games, and I would trust the process. If you are an unlimited Fanduel promotion bettor and you want to maximize your value, you don't care about the money, you just want to squeeze as much value as possible, I would play the B, I would play the C, and I would play the D. I'd avoid the F for today. If you have the limited version like myself, I would probably target these 3 games. These would be your max value games. The game in Tampa Bay, the game in Toronto, the game in Houston. I know I mentioned throughout some other spots that aren't horrible. You can look at those if you'd like. So that is my long-winded Dinger Tuesday video, like always. But again, thank you guys for supporting me, coming by every week to watch these. And let's cash again. Let's try to get 4 minimum again. That would be awesome. And I don't think we're going to get Threes Day today, is my guess. With the playoffs starting, I bet they throw that promo to the wayside. So that may be it for that. So come back. We'll do these videos every Tuesday. Good luck, and we'll see you next week.